found in the division was at the New Den, but the majority was silenced midway through the first half by Steve Watkins' straightforward header for Wrexham. The Welshman held that lead for more than an hour until Millwall's Chris Malkin, confronted by one defender, was suddenly bowled over by another Darren Brace. One of Jimmy Nicholl's new boys from his old club, Wraith Rovers, Steve Crawford, equalised with the penalty. Fixtures between Wrexham and Plymouth average 4 goals a game. They plundered 8 between them on Saturday, Plymouth striking first thanks to Michael Evans. Neil Warnock's promoted side looked in good shape when they fashioned a second goal by the 25th minute, calmly taken by Adrian Littlejohn. But Wrexham are no slouches near goal. They scored 76 in the league last season, and they were on the score sheet before half-time. Wayne Phillips closing in for the kill. There aren't many nippier strikers in the lower divisions than Littlejohn, and given the chance to notch his second of the day, he made goal-taking look a simple business. And 3-1 became 4-1 3 minutes later. The points seemed there for the taking when the cross saw Richard Logan climb above Mark McGregor to score. Perhaps complacency set in, though. Argyle was certainly guilty of allowing too much space when McGregor set up Wrexham's second, Carl Connolly taking advantage of some generous defending. Astonishingly, Wrexham were back in the game just 2 minutes later. Connolly this time cutting the ball through, and Phillips, who's been called into the Welsh squad to meet San Marino on Saturday, beat Bruce Grobler on his near post. If Warnock was seething then, he would be apoplectic with just 3 minutes to go as the Welshman snatched an unlikely point. Connolly getting the glory with his second goal. Finally to the racecourse ground, where even the officials were in good humour. But the joke was definitely on Peterborough, when Carl Connolly climbed superbly well to head Wrexham in front. But it wasn't enough to keep the points in North Wales. Even Peterborough substitute Carl Griffiths would have to admit it was a miscue that opened the way for the equaliser, pocketed by Martin O'Connor.
Brentford and Bury both won. They move above Plymouth, who drew. Home wins for Millwall and Blackpool move them into the top 6, 3 points behind the leaders. The bottom 3 clubs all lost. Wycombe Wanderers are still looking for their first victory of the league season, as are Wrexham, who drew at home to Peterborough.
Stockport, though, continue to struggle. They're yet to win. Wrexham's Steve Watkin began another disappointing night for county fans.
After a fitful start, Crewe are back in full swing. They made it 3 wins on the trot, and in the process brought to an end Wrexham's unbeaten run. Dele Adebola's power proved decisive. He scored twice before half-time, with goals that emphasised his determination. The first after 24 minutes, and he extended Crewe's lead 6 minutes before half-time, having taken on and beaten the entire Wrexham defence. Wrexham poured a goal back in the dying embers of the half, hope provided by a sweet strike by Peter Ward. But Francis Tierney put the game beyond the Welsh club with his second goal in as many games.
Wrexham's Wayne Phillips, a mere stripling by comparison, has 13 goals now. The one he struck to send Preston North End to defeat on Saturday could hardly have been better timed. It comes after his call-up to the Welsh squad and immediately before a 3-match suspension.
Well, as you can see, there was a nationwide league game in Division 2. Walsall 0, Wrexham 1. We can have a look at that goal, Jim. Jonathan Cross.
Well, Brian Flynn has done a very good job there. Wrexham need all the points they can get, don't they? And that's a good placed header, isn't it? Right into the corner. Keeper, no chance. Good win for them.
Well, they've only lost once this season.
We're into the second division now. Action from 4 matches. We start at Meadow Lane. It was Notts County and Wrexham.
Notts haven't won at home since the opening day of the season. They didn't really deserve to today either. And with the fans dropping off faster than the autumn leaves, well, Meadow Lane's no place for a frolic at the moment. Less than 5,000 there today. 0-0 it finished.
It's 4 games since Wrexham conceded a goal, and they had the best chance to break the deadlock at Notts County, but Brian Hughes failed to break the stalemate.
Brentford drew, but extend their lead to 4 points because Millwall were beaten at Preston. Crewe move up to third at their highest position this season. Shrewsbury Town are into 5th place after their victory over Watford. Wycombe Wanderers are the only team in Division 2 still to win. Now without a manager, of course, they're also bottom because Rotherham broke their duck, defeating Bournemouth. Walsall also won, as did Preston, Stockport and Peterborough.
Wrexham are another side in good form. 4 wins out of 5 before Saturday, so they were full of confidence for this one. And it showed when Tony Humes gave them the lead midway through the first half. But Watford's pressure paid off. David Brammer's foul on Gary Penrice gave Tommy Mooney a penalty equaliser. Still, Wrexham remain handily placed in the top 6.
Wrexham are very much the team of the moment. 8 matches unbeaten now. Craig Skinner was chief tormentor of Bournemouth, leading a merry dance around the defenders to put Wrexham in front. Classy substitute Carl Connolly made it safe from the bench with a breathtaking finish. Wrexham have only lost once all season.
Brentford's lead at the top is cut from 6 points to 4 points by Millwall, who beat Gillingham. Bury and Watford drew. Wrexham, Chesterfield and Luton all won. The bottom 2 were beaten again. Preston's win lifts them above Wycombe. York City move up 4 places after their last-minute win over Rotherham.
Sadly, stalemate at Adams Park. Just one of those days for Brian Flynn's side. Nearly, but not quite.
A new manager generally has the effect of lifting a club, so much was expected as John Gregory took his bow to the adoring masses at Wycombe. But Wrexham didn't follow the script. The best Wycombe could muster, a Steve McGavin header which caused momentary mayhem, but failed to result in tangible reward. 0-0.
Next to the racecourse ground, stand by for a 5-goal thriller with Alistair Mann.
Connolly. Good turn, made room for himself well. Ward, Morris, no offside. Dangerous ball in 2 and Connolly! What a start! Another driven corner and it's caused all sorts of confusion. The ball scrambled away. Oh, there was a hand on the line and there could be trouble here. Penalty's been given, but it could be worse than that. Oh, Wrexham down to 10 men. Yep. Well, poor old Mark Cartwright has to save a penalty. He almost did. He had a hand on it. But it's gone in. Curtis has scored it. Carey's made his way forward. So too has Humes. Carey's won it. And it comes into the net from Morris. Flick on there by Scott. Helped on further by Lund. Now Lormer. Cutting inside, and he scored it. And Chesterfield's pressure finally reaps rewards. Connolly. Owen. Good shot on him. Oh, he scored it! There is a twist in the tail. And Gareth Owen provides it.
Beaten again, Wycombe Wanderers are 2 points behind at the bottom. Shrewsbury move up 3 places. They beat Notts County. York City were the only other team in the bottom half to win. Millwall take over at the top. They're 2 points clear of Brentford, 3 ahead of Crewe. Wins for Watford and Wrexham move them up 2 places.
Gillingham conceded just 20 goals last season in Division 3. Clean sheets have been a little harder to come by since promotion. And the goals against tally reached 23 when Steve Morris fired Wrexham ahead. Simon Ratcliffe eventually levelled for the Gills 11 minutes later. But they were reduced to 10 men just before the break, when leading scorer Iffy Onyura overdid the protests after having a penalty appeal turned down. Wrexham made the extra man count with a second-half winner from Carl Connolly, which extended their unbeaten run to 12 games. Sadly, the cameraman missed it.
Little Colwyn Bay from the Unibond League, managed by the local butcher, enjoy taunting Wrexham. They heaved them out of the Welsh Cup 4 years ago. Now they almost had them out of the FA Cup. Graham Roberts' 68th-minute goal had the seaside town dancing in delight. But their Division 2 neighbours fought back, equalising 8 minutes later. Brian Hughes, the scorer. But the Robins still have a fight on their hands in the replay.
Gabbiadini is our guest this afternoon as we look forward after the game at Northampton to Derby County and Middlesbrough. But just sitting watching that, Mark, I'm wondering why there hasn't been the surprises this year. Is it because the stadiums are better? Is it because clubs like Colwyn Bay are being forced for safety reasons to go to the racecourse there at Wrexham?
Brentford were looking to return to second place against in-form Wrexham. Alistair Mann commentates.
And that'll be Carey's ball. Oh, well struck! Oh, Nick Forster! Oh, that's 1-0 saver. What a great goal! Taylor into Forster meanwhile for Brentford. Forster into Asaba, great finish. Oh, that's a terrific finish. And he'll enjoy this. The wait for a goal is over.
Well, here's a home banker for you. Wrexham unbeaten at home against Wycombe, who haven't won away, but it wasn't quite as simple as you might have expected. Here's Andy again.
Brian Flynn's men were in no mood to surrender their home record. There were only 38 seconds on the clock when the hapless Wycombe fell behind. Carl Connolly did good work on the right. And then Craig Skinner volleyed in for the fastest goal in the country this Saturday. Not only the fastest, also one of the best. And that's the way it finished. Wrexham 1, Wycombe 0.
And at the top, Bury in third, having lost today. Wrexham up to fourth and looking rather threatening.
Didn't play well, but we won the game 1-0. All credit to Wycombe. I thought they played very well. If they continue like that, I'm sure they get out of the position then. But concerning us, it wasn't an ideal performance, but we've got 3 points.
At Turf Moor, more than 8,000 saw Burnley put 2 past Wrexham in 8 minutes. Andrew Cook scored the first after a sweeping move. Kurt Nogan then got Burnley's second, thanks largely to poor keeping.
If anybody's allowed to run like this and so close to so many opponents, you deserve a goal. York's Gary Ball did just that, and in the end it was Tony Hume's deflection that got the OG tag. Even worse, it was in the last minute.
At the top, Brentford won to stretch their lead to 2 points. Luton moving to third, just a point behind Millwall. Bury, Stockport and Watford all drew.
Third division versus second. Was it possible that the underdoggery could be counterbalanced by home advantage? It was certainly looking that way, following an early Paul Baker header, which put Scunthorpe in front. It was a lead they held until 20 minutes from time. Then Wrexham imposed themselves. An equaliser from close range for Brian Hughes. Out of the traps once more came the underdogs. Within a couple of minutes, Scunthorpe had regained the advantage. Phil Clarkson the scorer. Only 18 minutes to hold on, and 18 dwindled to 3. But then a series of elementary errors let in Steve Morris for Wrexham's second equaliser. Into an extra 30 minutes now, with the possibility of a penalty shootout looming. But Scunthorpe forfeited their turn 5 minutes early. Mark Samways didn't get the ball, but he did get the man. Referee spot on with the decision. Ditto Steve Watkin with the kick. Wrexham at home to West Ham in round 3.
It also finished goalless between Watford and Gillingham at Vicarage Road, so Wrexham took advantage with victory over Bristol City. They took the lead from the spot after Brian Hughes was brought down. Steve Watkins' penalty gave Wrexham an extra-time victory in the Cup last week, and he made no mistake once again on Saturday. Wrexham's move into the top 6 was assured midway through the second half, when Hughes doubled their lead with a cool side-foot finish. There was a late consolation for City thanks to Matthew Hewlett's strike, but they stayed locked in mid-table.
No visibility problems at Wrexham, though. It was only the home defence that didn't have the foggiest what to do with Notts County early on. Good work from Finnan. And this is Sean Farrell floating a delightful shot over Andy Marriott. County's third away win of the season seemed well within reach when they went 2 up just 7 minutes later. Finnan, a thought in the Welsh side all afternoon, induced Brian Carey to handle. Gary Martindale's spot kick perfect. The county's sum total of victories at the racecourse ground is 1, so they were probably not surprised when Brian Flynn's side responded immediately. Steve Watkins setting up the simplest of finishes for Carl Connolly. Still, the managerless East Midlanders came again. Finnan leading his opponents a merry dance, and the telling cross saw Farrell miss his kick and Martindale on hand to make it 3-1. Cue the super sub. 71 minutes gone when Kevin Russell came on. 4 minutes later, he threaded the pass through, which led to Brian Hughes testing Darren Ward, and Watkin was there to reduce the margin. And within 6 minutes of his arrival, Russell was in the thick of things again, and Wrexham rescued a point. An even better finish this time from Carl Connolly.
Luton Town didn't play, so Brentford's win stretches their lead at the top back to 4 points. They have played 2 more games. Millwall move up to 3rd. Bristol City are into the top 4 for the first time this season. Rotherham United remain 5 points behind at the bottom. They drew, but so did Notts County. Wycombe Peterborough was abandoned. Plymouth's win over Crewe lifts them up 5 places.
Second place Luton couldn't take advantage, though. They hadn't played at all since Boxing Day. The result, the first time they'd failed to score for 4 months.
But Kevin Russell of 2nd Division Wrexham provided the day's conclusive shock. His last-minute goal knocked out West Ham of the Premiership and...
West Ham's manager Harry Redknapp says he'll stand down if asked after the latest defeat for the hapless Hammers. Defeat against Wrexham was the bitterest of pills to swallow, and the prescription arrived with only 20 seconds left. The hero, Kevin Russell, knew he'd scored as soon as he hit the ball. The Welsh celebrations were understandable, but for West Ham's fans, even more despair. 1 win in 15 matches, only 1 goal in 5. The frustrations showed.
I'm obviously bitterly disappointed tonight, and I can understand the fans' frustration, so it's difficult. No one's more down and upset about today's result than me.
Well, the best way to describe it is fairy tale, isn't it? You know, a substitute comes on, Kevin Russell scores a goal the way he did in the last minute, and it's his first goal of the season. I mean, it's sometimes hard to believe.
Yeah, almost as freezing as somewhere we know, because no one could fail to know where Tim comes from. But Tim is not the only action man to put Wrexham on the map. Wrexham's football team, Wrexham FC, is doing its bit to make Tim's hometown a bit of a name on many footy fans' lips.
On January the 4th, in the 3rd round of the FA Cup, they drew 1-1 at home against West Ham. No mean feat against a Premiership side. On a snowy pitch, Wrexham's Brian Hughes took the lead with a goal after just 5 minutes, but West Ham's Hugo Porfirio then equalised.
Well, tomorrow, Wrexham fans will be on the edge of their seats waiting for the result of the replay at Upton Park. And before their big day, we thought you might like to wish them good luck, Tim.
Yes. So, from Wrexham's FA Cup squad, here are Brian Hughes, Tony Hughes, Carl Connolly and Joey Jones.
Oh, Joey!
Welcome to St. Peter, guys.
Hi, Joey. Nice to see you. All right, mate.
This is your #1 fan, I have to say. So I have to say, he wished you luck on air before your last match against West Ham, and you drew 1-1, so it bodes well.
Yeah, well, you know, in appreciation of what you've been saying about Wrexham. All the lads want you to wear the shirt tomorrow too.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I'm in Paris tomorrow for the menswear collection for clothes show, so I think it'll go down a storm now, and it's signed as well. Excellent. Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Well, we thought we'd give the lads from Wrexham a bit of practice, just in case there's a penalty shootout tomorrow. There's just one problem, Tim. We don't have a goalie. Oh, no. So get your jacket off, and let's see how many balls Wrexham's finest can get past.
How
Vincent
embarrassing.
in goal. And there's some gloves down there.
Oh, you want me to wear these as well? I need any help I can.
A bit bigger, give you a bit more chance. Okay,
right.
Goalie ready, players ready.
Be gentle with
3,
me.
2,
Come on then, right,
1.
okay. Ready? Whoa! Leaves the goal, leaves the goal.
Here we go.
Oh, Joey, what are you doing? Come on, a bit better than that. Oh, right, I'm deserving.
This is the one that's
body blocked the ball. Whoa, I've saved. Wacky tugs. I've saved one. Oh, there's one more, I can't believe it. Whoa.
Gavin Southgate.
2. I think they've been very easy with me. Joey, what happened there? I didn't know that was happening.
Tim, what a good goalie. Well, if you ever need a new goalie, guys, you think you know where to look. Good luck tomorrow. Thank you
Not
very
here.
much for coming in. West Ham will be trembling now.
Brilliant. Well,
and so to the FA Cup, where despite the fact the pantomime season's coming to an end, Wrexham continue to star in the role of giant killer. And given their past performances, perhaps we shouldn't be surprised at yet another heroic deed on Saturday. First, there was Arsenal. Then there was Ipswich. So no surprises when on Saturday it was West Ham. West Ham going the way of the others into FA Cup oblivion, courtesy of Wrexham.
There is no secret as such. I think what we've got now is a reputation and a tradition of doing well in the Cups. And if that sort of gives us a sense of doubt or fear with the opposition, especially obviously teams in a higher division, then it works for us.
But the reward in yesterday's draw could have been kinder. Birmingham away, if they can beat fellow second division side Peterborough next Tuesday. And that's the #1 priority.
We'll go down there confident, quietly confident, and hope we can achieve another upset.
Are you thinking as far as Birmingham at all?
No, don't think that far now.
And they've a point to prove at Peterborough. They lost there in last season's FA Cup when they should have won in a canter.
The Oldham one from last season, you know, they knocked us out the cup last season. On the day we played really well and ended up losing 1-0, so it's a chance for us to turn it round.
But after the excitement of Saturday, it was feet back on the ground time today. After all, there's another cup match tomorrow in the Auto Windscreen Shield against Crewe. And joining me now is Wrexham's Managing Director, David Rhodes, who stopped off in the supporters' local, the Turf. Well, David, I see the newspapers reckon you can make anything between £400,000 and £1 million from this cup run. What's that going to mean to the club?
The newspapers always make you smile, Bob. I think they're about 50% out in their estimates at the moment.
How much do you hope to make from this run, though?
We would look to be making about £200,000 from the cup run, which we will then invest in the training ground, which we're preparing at the moment.
What about strengthening the side with that money, David? Is that a possibility?
We would like to do that if we can make sufficient money. Obviously, if we get past Peterborough in the next round, then we would have a chance of a fair return from the Birmingham game.
What's the feeling up there in the town? Are people snapping up the tickets for the Peterborough match? Is there going to be thousands going off there?
The phones haven't stopped ringing all day at the racecourse today with people requesting information on the Peterborough tickets. I think we'll have a very good following, and it's done wonders for the morale of the town at the moment.
How can we explain this splendid act of giant killing, the fact it's happened so often as well in the past, David?
I think if we knew the answer to that, Bob, we'd bottle it and sell it and make a fortune.
Were you a bit disappointed, though, to have Birmingham away, if you do get past Peterborough, not to get one of the big clubs maybe back at the racecourse?
Obviously, everybody would have liked Manchester United, but you've got to take your luck as it comes in the FA Cup, and we've already been to Old Trafford, so I suppose we're due a fairly good game away from home.
Well, David, thanks very much. I think you deserve a drink now after all that effort now. Thanks very much, David, and the best of luck to you in the next round.
One of the outstanding results of the weekend, Jim. Wrexham, in their replay at West Ham, winning by 1-0.
And what a time for a player to get his first goal of the season. Came on a substitute last minute. Kevin Rooster Russell took a slight deflection, but he deserved it. I mean, that was so well struck, wasn't it?
And, of course, Stockport...
Welcome back. Still to come, all the latest sports news and our regular item, Pick of the Week.
But first, back to the Cup. Wrexham came close to knocking out West Ham at the racecourse ground, but as Arsenal fans will remember to their cost, the Welsh side have proved in the past that they can beat the best. From Wales, Tim Abraham.
Oh, the times they are a-changing.
There have been plenty of changes in this once heavy industrial heartland, but some things never change, like the racecourse ground and Wrexham's determination to cause yet another FA Cup upset.
We mustn't hide from the fact that they are a Premiership side and they are good players. It's the FA Cup. They'll want to do well and they'll want to make up for Monday night. If they play the best of their ability, then we haven't got much of a chance. But if we play well and they're below par, we have got a chance.
Well, they get you to Marking when you come to the racecourse ground. This is Gladys, the club cat. She's been here even longer than Brian Flynn. And when it comes to the FA Cup, she's definitely the club's lucky charm. Gladys? No.
She's seen it all before and even fell asleep during one of the biggest shocks in FA Cup history, when Wrexham overcame the mighty Arsenal. Mickey Thomas stole the headlines, but half of that heroic team is still here, including the man who got the winner.
Well, Steve, this is just about where you got that goal against Arsenal. What are your memories of that now?
I think it was a ball from the right. I think Gordon Davis knocked it in, and I think Tony Adams miskicked it, and I just slid in and put it in the bottom corner.
Do you use that as an inspiration going into another big game like this?
I think we've got a good tradition in the FA Cup. I don't see why we should be scared of West Ham. I think in the first game we showed we can compete with them, so hopefully it'll be the same on Saturday.
It was a good game here at the racecourse, and I think a draw was a fair result. I thought second half they came on strong at us, and at the end I think we were happy to stay in the game, get a replay. But here we go again, and hopefully it's a good cup tie. I mean, the last time we went down to West Ham, their fans were brilliant. It was a good cup tie. It was a good footballing game, and that's why we want to repeat that.
English-speaking players know exactly where they're heading. When it comes to football, though, it seems there's only one language.
Chris?
Welsh language teacher David Griffiths is making the most of the Robins' latest cup run in class, with a prediction thrown in too.
West Ham 1, Wrexham 2. Da iawn.
During break time, there's only one topic of conversation for Wrexham fans. Well, that's easy to understand, isn't it?
Dwi'n meddwl, os di Wrexham gael y gol gyntaf fewn, nhw'n chance dal o gael fwy o goliau.
Mae'n fwy pwysig iawn, ti'n cael clean sheet yn iawn. Ag efo West Ham, reit yn gwylod o lig. Wel, 3 o'r gwylod, ia.
A Deryn Brace, mae'n un dar, Deryn. There is no secret that what you do get, though, you get a reputation. And if that puts a little bit of fear in the opposition, possibly that might be something. We have got a reputation of causing an upset, and long may it continue.
Gladys, of course, won't be making the trip to Upton Park, but if she settles down for a kip come kick-off time at the racecourse ground, watch out, West Ham. Hail Valgan Wrexham. Tim Abraham, Sky Sports, North Wales.
Hear, hear. Wrexham may have just caught West Ham at the right time. Deep in relegation trouble, the lowest scorers in the Premiership, just 1 win in 14. West Ham fans booed their team off on Monday night. These are difficult times for Harry Redknapp, who knows the fans won't tolerate any slip-ups against Wrexham.
They've got a right to their opinions. No one's more of a West Ham supporter than I am. I come from around here, the East End, and I know how they feel, and I'm disappointed that things haven't gone particularly well this year, but we're not the only club in that position. It's a difficult league. It's difficult to compete with the big boys because they've got the mega money, and I'm short of front players. It's as simple as that. I'm trying to really, I'm very patched up front at the moment. I've only got one striker on my book, Steve Jones. He's the only fit striker I've got here, and it makes it very difficult. So that's something we need to do. We need to bring in a couple of new front men.
What about yourself, Harry? Do you feel secure in your job?
Well, of course, I've got a 5-year contract at the club, and I see myself being here for the next 5 years. So, I think I'm building a good football club. We've had a backward step for the last 2 months. So what? We're not the only team. Everton's gone 5 games without a win. Joe's excellent at his job. Joe Royal, suddenly they're 5 games. Jerry Francis has had a few blips at Spurs. He's an excellent manager. You don't suddenly become bad at your job because you have a few bad results.
Do you feel you're on a bit of a hiding to nothing against Wrexham?
Not really. I suppose people do look at the game. Well, there could be a cup upset here, but we went up to Wrexham the other week and showed tremendous character on a very bad pitch. No, I'm confident tomorrow that we'll get the job done at home. I'm looking forward to seeing the 2 kids play that I'm bringing in. I'm looking forward to seeing Rio Ferdinand play because he's going to be a star. And I'm looking forward to seeing Frank Lampard play because he's going to be a star as well. So I think you'll be good. And I think the fans have got to get behind these kids and support them and really let them know that, show them the real warmth of the West Ham people. And if they do that tomorrow, we'll win.
Michael Knighton is one of the Football League's more colourful...
Street is left struggling near the foot of the Premiership, desperately needing to beat Wrexham in their FA Cup third-round replay this afternoon. Ian Bolton's there.
West Ham include both Frank Lampard, the son of the assistant Hammers boss, and teenager Rio Ferdinand, the cousin of Les Ferdinand, in their starting lineup this afternoon. There is no place for on-loan striker Mike Neal, no John Moncur either, he's suspended, and no Mark Reaper, presumably he's been dropped. The Wrexham boss, Brian Flynn, had to decide which 2 of 3 players he'd picked to play up front. Well, he's gone for Carl Connolly and Steve Watkin, with Steve Morris on the substitutes bench. This is Wrexham's 6th FA Cup tie of the season. They needed replays to get past Colwyn Bay and Scunthorpe earlier in the competition, but victory here would not only put them into the 4th round to play Peterborough, it certainly would pile on yet more misery for West Ham. Crisp, sunny afternoon here in East London. This is Ian Bolton at Upton Park for Sports Saturday.
Ian, just before we let you go, you mentioned the two youngsters there, and we've all seen how much unease there appears in the crowd at Upton Park in the past month or two. Is there any suggestion that the fact we've got a couple of local, homegrown Hammers family players coming into the squad today, is that giving everybody a lift there?
Oh, well, I'm sure that the West Ham fans would hope to see something of a lift. These teams are just coming out onto the field at the moment. West Ham are in trouble. I was speaking to a few of the fans before this game. They are concerned, as concerned about as anybody really about the current predicament of the club. They are desperate really to see their side score goals. Just over recent matches, I think they've only scored something like 1 goal in their last 4 games, and that is the thing that they are most concerned about. Harry Redknapp, of course, is concerned about it as well. He is on the lookout for a striker, but really they must win this afternoon. I mean, the ramifications of losing to Wrexham from West Ham's point of view really don't bear thinking about.
Ian, sometimes programme notes are a key to the mood inside a club. Is there anything in the programme notes today for this game?
Well, as far as Harry Redknapp is concerned, he says we've got to recapture the sort of spirit that they had earlier in the season. And he says that he's picked players that will work hard and do well for the side when we haven't got the ball. Perhaps that's the key for West Ham this afternoon.
Thanks very much. Back to you shortly, Ian. Clive Allen watching with me here in the studio, former West Ham player. You know the inside of the camp very well. How do you read what you're hearing from Ian?
Well, I think he's looking to give the youngsters, give them their heads and give them the opportunity to shine. I know that they think very, very highly of Rio Ferdinand, and I think that he really wants a big response from the West Ham faithful to get behind the young lads and lift the club out of the problems that they have at the present time. I do believe that they will go on and win this game today.
The first meeting between these sides, Clive, how did you see West Ham coming a cropper at Wrexham?
Well, on the day, I just felt that they wouldn't get beat, and eventually, as it turned out, it was a 1-1 draw. But it should never have been played. The conditions were just quite unbelievable. And West Ham went behind early, but showed great character to come back, and it was one of their foreign imports in Porfirio. This was the opening goal after just 6 minutes, but a mistake by the keeper. But Porfirio was very quiet in the game, showed what quality he has with a tremendous goal. And I think Harry was delighted with the response he had from the players on the day.
Coventry against Woking. This has got all the romance attached to the FA Cup, of course.
Big chance a couple of moments ago. Steve Jones was put clear by Frank Lampard. He was only about 5 yards out from goal, but failed to find the target, blasting to the left of the upright. For Wrexham, well, their best chance came after 10 minutes. Gareth Evans with a shot after a mistake by Tim Breaker. It was pushed away by Ludek McCloskey. Evans just inside the penalty area, got a powerful shot on goal. McCloskey scrambling, couldn't hold it, but West Ham cleared the day. It's West Ham 0, Wrexham 0.
Get ready for this. Let's go to the Riverside Stadium. Goals everywhere to Upton Park, West Ham against Wrexham. Ian Bolton.
Yes, drama here at Upton Park. It is West Ham United 0, Wrexham 1. The goal scorer in the 89th minute is substitute Kevin Russell. The ball was thrown in from far side of the field, the Wrexham right. It was touched by Steve Watkin to Russell, who let fly from 20 yards out, and the ball ended up in the back of Ludek McCloskey's goal. Wrexham on the verge of going through to the 4th round and getting a notable scalp by beating West Ham. We are in the 3rd minute of stoppage time here. It's West Ham 0, Wrexham 1.
This can only happen in the FA Cup, can't it? 3 goals in the dying minutes, turning games on their heads. Leeds have knocked out Crystal Palace. Leeds will meet Arsenal in round 4 of the FA Cup. Let's go to Brunton Park, Carlton Park, and find out. Last we heard they were trailing against Wrexham in injury time, and it's full time, and Division 2 Wrexham have knocked West Ham United out of the FA Cup. Kevin Russell in injury time has done the damage. Wrexham, who knocked out Arsenal, remember, in 91-92, they knocked out Ipswich last season,
And this perhaps the biggest of all of those spectacular results, because they've done it away from home in a replay. West Ham's season is certainly in crisis now, I'm afraid. However late they left it, it only meant that there was no way back. Manchester United and Wimbledon will meet again, in case you're just joining us. 2 goals in injury time in that game. And Hensford aren't finished yet. We hear it's Hensford 2, Middlesbrough 3, although that's now confirmed as a result. Birmingham City have gone through in the FA Cup as well. But let's just sample the atmosphere as Wrexham celebrate their amazing victory late in the day at West Ham. And just to point out a couple of the other shocks, Wrexham not the only people to cause a headline or two today. Woking have done it again, getting a draw at Coventry today. And Hensford making Middlesbrough work so very, very hard. Clive Allen watching with me here in the studio. They're going to milk this for everything that it's worth, Wrexham, and rightly so. They deserve it. This is just the most dreadful result for West Ham United, though, isn't it?
Well, it's an absolute disaster for Harry Redknapp and his team. Now they've got a real uphill battle to stay in the Premiership. And again, you have to say, it's so evident they're lacking strikers, they can't score goals, but all credit to Wrexham. They would have thought that their FA Cup dreams were going to go by the wayside after they had the opportunity of beating them in the first game at the racecourse ground. But now they've come to Upton Park and got a tremendous 1-0 victory.
One or two are getting slightly overexcited. Elsewhere, not a good day for other Premiership big-name clubs. Everton, last we heard, were trailing. They've pulled a goal back in injury time at Goodison against Bradford, but Everton 2, Bradford 3 is the latest score that we have. Coventry must meet again against Woking, and Middlesbrough have had to work so hard today against Hensford. It's full-time just to confirm that at Old Trafford in all the drama. Maybe we didn't emphasise that. Manchester United and Wimbledon will meet again. And an extraordinary finale. Park. Just to confirm the latest score from Goodison, it's still Everton 2, Bradford 3. And these unfortunate scenes, almost predictable, I'm afraid, in the aftermath of West Ham's home defeat by Wrexham. West Ham supporters are on the field.
I think
you don't need to be able to lip read to know what's going on here.
They're venting their anger at the board, the manager and the board. They feel that there's people in a position to inject money into the club, and they just hope that these scenes don't become too violent or uncontrollable.
Let's hear about it from Ian Bolton, who's there.
Yes, I would say that there's well over 100 West Ham fans who are on the pitch at the moment. They are shouting towards the director's box, sack the board, sack the board. They are angry at the situation here at West Ham, and a few of them actually at the moment are making their way towards the 4,000 or so Wrexham fans who are applauding them. I mean, I don't think there's nothing malicious in it. They are going to the Wrexham fans and they are applauding. They are not going over to make trouble, but there is definitely displeasure, I think is perhaps one way of putting it, as far as the West Ham fans are concerned. Of course, it was a dramatic end to this FA Cup tie. The deciding goal scored in the last minute by substitute Kevin Russell. He came on as a substitute for the last 15 minutes. There was a Wrexham throw on the right, level with the edge of the penalty area. Wrexham did well. They worked the ball across the 18-yard box, and Russell let fly from just outside the penalty area to put Wrexham through to the 4th round of the FA Cup. They will play Peterborough, and to dump West Ham out of the competition, just to add to the problems here at Upton Park. The final score, West Ham United 0, Wrexham 1, and the West Ham fans are still on the pitch as I speak to you now.
Thank you, Ian Bolton. We'll monitor these scenes for just a few more moments. Last we heard, Everton were on the brink of going out of the FA Cup. They were trailing at home to Bradford. We wait confirmation of that as a result. Coventry City and Woking will have to meet again. Woking have got a draw at Highfield Road, another superb page in their cup history, and Hensford all but got a replay against Middlesbrough today. They forced Middlesbrough all the way to the wire in the last couple of minutes of their game at the Riverside Stadium. Just to confirm, while we've been taking in these scenes, we've also had confirmation that Queen's Park Rangers have beaten Barnsley in the FA Cup today. They're into FA Cup round 5 already, even though 1 or 2 games still to be decided in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. Queen's Park Rangers beat Barnsley by 3 goals to 2, just to confirm that for you. And 1 or 2 other results to hand. Some, the likes of Harry Redknapp, won't forget this day in a hurry. West Ham among the big-name casualties in the FA Cup today, beaten by Wrexham. Everton out as well, and a close call for Coventry and Middlesbrough, 5-0.
West Ham had a good day. It could be the last straw for Harry Redknapp, as Wrexham left it until the last minute to dump them out of the cup. Kevin Russell on as a substitute right at the third division side into the fourth round, and sent the Hammers fans into deeper unrest. They invaded the pitch at the final whistle with calls to sack the board, but the hammer blow came from the boss, who finally admitted he would leave if asked. Ollie Foster, Sky News.
Alan Muller is back with us this morning. Alan, good morning to you.
Morning, John.
Angry stuff at West Ham yesterday, but does Harry Redknapp really deserve the sack today?
No, I don't think he does. I think you've got to look at circumstances that are at the club. And Harry struggled, you know, even with the foreign players that he bought. He made a mistake on one or two of them. But when you look at the way the side has gone over the last 2 or 3 years, they've always been in that situation. But that's like, that's a nightmare to him, you know, to lose to Wrexham. And in the 90th minute as well. I mean, it's a really, you know, a hammer, another nail in West Ham's troubled season. And what a goal. Look at the shot. I mean, the lad Russell is at a perfect left foot. I mean, a marvellous goal to win the game. But a cruel blow to Harry Redknapp, who needs all the help he possibly can, especially from the board now. And I think the supporters have showed there, you know, they're not blaming Harry. They're looking at the board and saying, hey, it's about time you started helping the fella.
So what will happen? He's now offered himself as the sacrifice, if you like, but will the board stand by him?
Well, I hope they do, because it'll only be fair to Harry. He's West Ham through and through. There's no other guy. He spent a long, long time at Bournemouth, but he's been a West Ham player. He's been a West Ham man for, you know, since the day he was born.
Woking, and the dream lives on.
I mean, this is, you know, when you look at fairy.
West Ham and Wrexham. Now the Hammers struggled at the icy racecourse ground in the first match.
I think the racy racecourse round is
Hang on a minute, let's have another swig of my gin. Now, apparently, West Ham struggled at the icy racecourse ground in the first match, but Wrexham were determined to make it second time lucky at the bowling ground. It turned out to be one of the shocks of the round. Now, of course, it was a difficult tie for West Ham in many ways, having got beaten in midweek on Monday night, in actual fact, by Leeds, but they started brightly, and that was Steve Jones going close for West Ham. Very disappointing crowd at Upton Park yesterday, which again is never easy for the home side. You tend to hear all the comments that are made. Michael Hughes with a fair strike from probably 25 yards. Good effort from him. But into the second half, Wrexham's confidence was clearly growing as they forced West Ham, and in particular their keeper McCloskey, into action. From this corner, Bilic rises well to get a strike in on goal. Pleased with the service that he received from that left wing corner. And it looked as if the game was going to ultimately go into extra time. Julian Dix, you don't often see him dumped on the deck. And again, Wrexham going very close. Fine effort, McCloskey clearly had his angles right and knew that that one was going to go wide. Then Ian Bishop, fine left foot strike just over the bar. One of our callers earlier today claims that Ian Bishop doesn't do enough for the side. And then finally, a scramble in front of goal as the nerves jangle at Upton Park. And then the killer blow came. Late on, a fantastic strike from Kevin Russell, which sent the players and fans into celebration mode. Super left foot strike. McCloskey, no chance whatsoever in the West Ham goal. And that led almost inevitably to the unfortunate sight of West Ham fans on the park after the final whistle. Wrexham, of course, trying to run the clock down. West Ham desperate to get the ball at the other end of the park. Wrexham working hard to keep them pinned back as the final whistle blows. So the final score, West Ham 0, Wrexham 1. And a real turn-up for the book there.
Yeah, lots of unrest, obviously, at West Ham. We've taken a caller already this morning about it. Half the fans are blaming the board, and the other half are blaming Harry Redknapp. But we did say yesterday, it looks like they are very close, because all it is the obvious, the problem, isn't it? They just can't score a goal. Now, they're splashing out £5 million. This is all in the papers, though. Newcastle's Paul Kitson and Stoke's Mike Sherrin. Now, Mike is top of the goal scorers in Division 1. So, I mean, I'm the kind of person that thinks, oh, well, if they buy Paul Kitson and Mike Sherrin, everything will be all right.
Far from it.
No?
Far from it, because the truth is that, you know, you can have the two best strikers in the world, for example, which I'm not saying those two are, but you can have the best two, but unless they get the decent service, they're not going to do anything. And I personally think, and I don't know what you think, maybe yourself, Damien, that West Ham actually need a bit more of a target man up front. I thought Pierre Van Hooijdonk...
Dean
Sorry?
Holdsworth.
They miss Dowie, don't they?
Yeah, undoubtedly, they do miss Ian Dowie.
But
he did have a very lean period, though, just before he broke his leg, didn't he?
Yeah, but the team was working off Dowie. I mean, there's more to his game than just scoring goal with Dowie. He's a target man. He gets in amongst the defenders, knocks them off the stride.
Big fella.
Yeah. Jimmy, at Manchester City, do you think that maybe they've missed the height and strength of Niall Quinn, for example?
Definitely. I mean, some games, you think he's still playing, you know, they knock the long ball up, and there's nobody there to hold it up. And Rosler will hold it up. We're playing very lone strike at the moment with Rosler up front on his own, or Dickoff up front on his own. Usually have Kincladze dropped in behind him or whatever.
Which again, with respect, you know, they're three titchy players, aren't they? Yeah. And, you know, occasionally you need the option of some height so that, you know, if it's tight, you need to hang it up and clear the danger, and you know there's a big man who's going to maybe flick a few on and you're going to get the knockdowns.
Yeah, Quinn he did a good job for the club, really.
Yeah.
Sure. She had sacked, you know, Redknapp out or whatever. I understand all that. It's you know, they've got a right to their opinion, you know, and they pay their money and it's their opinion, and I understand their feelings.
Are you fearful that the matter will be reported to the FA?
I think it's inevitable that it will be reported to the FA. Obviously, we had a situation, you know, 4 or 5 years ago here, and I'm not sure on the actual rules of whether that suspended sentence is still running. It may well be, but it's obviously been 4 or 5 years, and obviously it is a concern to everybody.
I'll only do what's best for the football club. It's not a case of being a quitter. I mean, I'm not going to walk away and say I'm stressed out or anything. I'm not. You know, if the fans feel they need a change and the board feel they need a change, then that would be their decision. You know, I understand that fully. I mean, that's life.
But while things seem to get worse for West Ham, Wrexham fans can look forward to an FA Cup 4th round tie at Peterborough.
Probably a fairy tale for Brian, a nightmare for Harry. Is it a crisis time now at West Ham? What's he going to do?
He's in the hands of other people, isn't he? You know, we've got the board of directors that must make decisions, and Harry's been as honest as a book open there in that circumstances. He said, look, if they want me to go, then I will go. But at the same time, as a manager, you just want that extra bit of time. But in football, do we get it? Harry has battled away. I saw them play against Leeds on Monday night. They were very, very poor. And they're not passing the ball. It looks as though they've all frozen up at this moment, and they just can't express themselves.
You've walked out on a club. Keegan's walked out on a club recently. Is there a point when a manager says, I just can't go on with these players at this particular time? This is the end of the road for me here?
Yeah, you have to make your own decision. You have to live with yourself. It's the day of the game, the Saturday, and then the worst day is Sunday. You would know that, having come from a football family, under the circumstances of the pressure, the media, what's being created at home, and then having to take the time to make those decisions. I made the decision, I walked away. I think I'm a better person for it. But at the same time, Harry is his own man, and I'm sure he'll make his decision in his own time.
Yeah, he says he's not a quitter. What has gone wrong? We've had this foreign thing at West Ham, haven't we, over the last few years? He's been bringing in these foreign players. It's not working out, is it? He's been more have left than have stayed.
Yeah, but West Ham's tradition is not that way, is it? It's always been of the youth policies, but as we all know, the youth players out there are taking a little bit longer to produce. You know, the track record that virtually came through when I played in the 75 Cup winning team that won the FA Cup final. You had Mervyn Day, who's now the manager, John McDowell, Tommy Taylor, and all these players who'd come through the ranks at Trevor Brooking, you know, and Frank Lampard, assistant manager now. And I just think sometimes when you go overboard one way, it can distract from what actually a club has been built around. And as the West Ham supporters know, they've been built around just playing football, and even when they got relegated with Billy Bonds, they still played great football.
You talk about the supporters, and of course yesterday they vented their anger in possibly one of the most damaging ways they could. The pitch invasion, as we can see here. And Peter Story has even said that it could get them into trouble with the FA. It's not the kind of thing that West Ham need, is it?
Yeah, but I think if the reports are factual, there wasn't any really bad feeling out there. It was when the game had finished. OK, we can see the police now making their opinion to the supporters. And I think this creates a little bit of panic myself sometimes when you see the police coming forward like this. But in saying that, you know, here we've got them going towards the Wrexham supporters. There's no malice, there's no evidence of violence there. And it's just saying, look, we recognise that you've had a great victory for your club, Wrexham, on the day, and we're acknowledging that, really. And hopefully the FA can look at it in a lenient manner, but in saying that, you know, the FA have to make disciplinary decisions now, especially with no fences being erected around the grounds.
At the end of the day, it could be the straw that breaks the camel's back, though, couldn't it, for Harry?
As a manager, ex-manager, whatever, you just feel for people at this moment in time, and they just want the next game to come as quickly as possible so they can possibly get a win.
Briefly, Bobby, a great day for Wales as well. Wrexham, the giant killers, producing this goal.
Yeah, Brian Flynn, he's been so calm, so relaxed, and, you know, they've drawn 0-0 at home. There's a great little shimmy from Chalk there at the throw-in. Watkins laid it back, and is it Viale from the 4th division? Or is it Russell?
Viale, yes. I think he'd be flattered by that comparison.
Yeah, but he scored some great goals in his career, right throughout his life in the lower regions, and he comes on it, he times it perfectly, doesn't he? You know, the 6, Williamson, might be a little bit disappointed there. He didn't get his body in the way, but the fella struck it well.
Definitely a goal worthy of a Premiership ground, anyway.
I would say so.
Thanks, Bobby. See you in a minute.
Wrexham badly needed a win, and they were seemingly heading for one right on half-time. Gillingham goalkeeper Jim Stannard left floundering. Carl Connolly left celebrating. But Gillingham battled their way on terms, and deservedly so. Dennis Bailey's cross, impressive new signing Edi Akinbayi with a close-range header.
After their exploits against West Ham, Wrexham must have fancied their chances at Peterborough, but it didn't start too well. Rowe's superb through ball caught Wrexham. They seemed to be waiting for the offside flag, and Ken Charlery made the most of his opening. But Brian Flynn's renowned cup fighters were level within minutes. Peterborough's defence failed to clear the corner, and Connolly's cross was beautifully flighted. Peter Ward was the man who did the rest, thumping in his header. But this tie overflowed with end-to-end Rocky-style action, and Peterborough recaptured the lead when Morrison set up this chance for Carl Griffiths. The Ravanelli-style celebrations followed, and his radar somehow found Barry Fry for a touchline embrace. But Wrexham's response was just as furious, and the next couple of minutes effectively won them the tie. First, Steve Watkin pounced to level it. And almost immediately, the Welsh side scored again with the goal of the tie. Now, Kevin Russell is a name which rolls off the tongue of West Ham fans. And after that volley, his notoriety has now travelled up the A1. But neither Wrexham nor Russell were finished yet. The 4th goal ruined Barry Fry's hopes of a trip back to Birmingham, but sent a warning note to Trevor Francis from the Welsh Dragons. Russell's 25-yard shot underlining their pedigree as remarkable cup fighters and his own status as the man to watch in the FA Cup.
Harry Gratian reporting there. Well, the picture for the 5th round is looking a little clearer now. Wimbledon's win gives them a home draw against QPR. Leeds entertain Portsmouth. Wrexham travel to Birmingham, and Chesterfield play Forest in a local derby. Coventry, after their win at Woking, now face a 4th round tie at Blackburn for the right to play Derby.
The clash of the giant killers at Saltergate, and you couldn't escape the feeling that both teams had one eye on next Saturday's 5th round ties. Wrexham's Steve Watkin went closest.
Wycombe Wanderers were the only team in the bottom 4 not to lose. Their win over Crewe takes them above Peterborough, thrashed by Blackpool. Brentford and Luton both drew, so did Bristol City. Bury were the only team in the top 10 to win, and they moved back into 4th above Crewe.
Peterborough lost for the 2nd time in a fortnight at London Road to Wrexham, whose victory was completed this time by the solitary goal. A superb individual effort it was too, coming from Brian Hughes on the half-hour, Wrexham's first league win in 6. Peterborough now 4 league defeats in succession. Peterborough 0, Wrexham 1.
Those games. Well, we've seen Chesterfield's tremendous result. Now the other second division side involved in the 5th round, Wrexham, who'd earlier put out West Ham. Today they were away to First Division Birmingham. Steve Bruce, twice an FA Cup winner with Manchester United, passed a late fitness test. Anders Limpar and Gary Ablett were also in the Birmingham starting lineup after injury worries. Wrexham had 3 players passing late tests, among them Peter Ward, who scored in the 4th round win at Peterborough. The commentary from Ian Walsh and Ian Gwynn Hughes.
Wrexham are well aware of potential danger from Andy. Legs, long throw, and it very nearly paid off there. It was Furlong with the effort, and it wasn't too far away. But that came about from Andy Legs. Huge throw into that penalty area. Ablett and Watkin. Chalk is behind. The cross comes across to Russell. Connolly! Well, we've had 2 opportunities within the first 3 minutes. Connolly gets up well. Watkin, that's a good effort by Steve Watkin. First time, just as it dropped to him, wasn't too far away, and he had the confidence to go for goal. Try and win a throw, which is as good as a corner kick, really, when you have Andy Legg in your side. Again, Steve Bruce just makes his way to the edge of that Wrexham penalty area. Paul Furlong in the middle, being watched by Tony Humes. Paul Devlin and Mark McGregor together. Legs throw. Bruce goes for it. Good save by Marriott. Great throw by Legg. Fine header by Steve Bruce, and well tipped over by Andy Marriott.
Well, there's a disappointed man. But again, this is superb head. He comes very late, Steve Bruce, to this. Great challenge. You won't get a better save than that, right out of the top corner.
Looking for Steve Bruce. Steve Bruce opens the scoring from really where the goal has been most likely to come. The aerial threat by Birmingham has always unsettled the Wrexham defence. They failed to deal comfortably with that corner, and Steve Bruce makes it 1-0.
Well, it's a defensive, poor defensive header from Brian Terry. He's trying to flick it away.
Humes. Brian Hughes wanted the ball. Chalk delayed the pass. McGregor's asking for it, gets it. And is fouled by Barry Horn.
Mark McGregor holding the ball up. It's Barry Horn that comes in there. That's what the foul was given for.
Ward. Yes! Wrexham have equalised. And it's Brian Hughes again. His 6th goal in this season's FA Cup. The man who just can't stop scoring in the competition, within 5.5 minutes of the restart, has brought Wrexham level.
Well, he's such a great left-sided player, Peter Ward, and he whips this ball into the far post. Brian Hughes, now he plays on the right-hand side of midfield. What's he doing coming up at that position? What a great header that was.
Devlin, strong challenge though from McGregor. Chalk with a touch. Devlin will be penalised for that challenge on Martin Chalk. And Martin Chalk is in quite a bit of discomfort. And it's a sending off. Paul Devlin has been sent off for that challenge on Martin Chalk, which has infuriated the Birmingham players. The hour mark, it's 1-1. Ward. Hughes. Tony Hughes has put Wrexham into the lead.
And again, it's the pace of the corner that does all the damage. Look at this coming away, but how did he get his head around it and hit the back of the net?
Russell, Connolly. Controlled by Connolly. thrown outlet out of the middle. Oh, lovely skill by Carl Connolly. Connolly! That could have settled it. That was lovely skill by Carl Connolly. Rapport. Good touch by Newell. Brown looking for leg. Furlong keeps the ball in play. Better from Birmingham. Brown. That's a good corner. Or a good cross, rather. And it came off the post. And it's a goal kick. Carey, anywhere will do. Connolly, though, will give chase. Carl Connolly. Connolly could settle it here. Connolly! Carl Connolly has settled it for Wrexham and takes the second division side into the 6th round. And what delight on those Wrexham faces.
Michael Johnson, the left-back, has been injured and he's struggling there to keep up with Carl Connolly. Touches it out of his body, little nick. Goalkeeper really could do nothing about that. And trickles in the corner. What joy for Wrexham.
They were confident they would win here, and seemingly they're going to win here. The last time Wrexham we heard, they lost by 5 goals to 2 in the league, but they've more than made up for that today with an absolutely tremendous victory here by 3 goals to 1.
It's got to be probably better than the Arsenal game. The circumstances surrounding the Arsenal game, it was fairy tale stuff, because that's the season prior to that, Arsenal were champions and we'd finished bottom of the league, and it set the club rolling, but I think it surpassed it today. It was absolutely a magnificent performance all round.
Well, obviously we're all delighted with the result and the performance. I mean, to get in the last 8 of the FA Cup is no mean achievement, so everybody's on a high, really.
When you get to this stage, you just want to hopefully have a good draw, but to be in the last 8 of this competition is, well, it's hard to believe.
Well, Wrexham have reached the last 8 after being behind 8 times in this cup run, and our man Albert says it's because the Welsh team never say die, but he says things like that. But that's the 6-round lineup for this Littlewood-sponsored FA Cup, and it's got that rather unusual look about it at this stage.
It's a Chesterfield-Wrexham final day.
That's the one. Match of the day's joint men of the day, those 2 second division bosses who beat the odds to be in that draw. Chesterfield's John Duncan and Wrexham's Brian Flynn. Good night from us.
Tom Curtis scores from the spot, and Chesterfield lead.
Carl Connolly. Connolly could settle it here. Connolly! Carl Connolly has settled it for Wrexham.
Hello, a very warm welcome to you from Lancaster Gate. So 2 5th-round ties, still unresolved, but they're all Premiership affairs. So we know for certain that the 8 quarter-finalists in this season's Littlewood's-sponsored FA Cup will ultimately be made up of 5 teams from the Premier Division, plus First Division Portsmouth and Second Division Chesterfield and Wrexham. And who on earth would have predicted that? Among the audience here at FA headquarters is a very happy chairman of Wrexham, I'm sure, Mr. Price Griffiths. He has reason to smile. His club assured already of making £500,000 from the competition. And to make the draw, 2 more famous faces from football's past, whose previous clubs have been involved in that really exciting draw that we've just seen. Peter Osgood, who got one of the goals when Chelsea beat Leeds in the FA Cup replay in 1970, and goalkeeper Gordon Banks, who was twice a losing Wembley finalist with Leicester City. But what a fight back by your old club Leicester this afternoon, Gordon.
Terrific, Tony, wasn't it? Yeah, second half really transformation, and they deserved the fight back in the draw.
And let's not forget that your first club, when you were 16 years of age, was Chesterfield. What do you think about them?
Well, that's marvellous. I mean, the first time they've ever got this far in the competition, so I'm hoping that I can bring a little bit of luck for them here today.
All right, Peter Osgood, obviously slightly disappointed that Chelsea saw that lead slip away this afternoon. It's been a fantastic competition already, but can you see beyond Chelsea for ultimate winners of the trophy?
I think, as you say, it's been a very interesting competition, and obviously Chelsea are playing very, very well. I mean, great game against Liverpool to come back from 2-0 down. But Tony, I think the side is Wimbledon. Everybody wants to, sort of avoid them. They're doing so well.
All right, we'll see, because you're going to do the draw for us in just a minute. But before we have that draw, let's give you a check on the numbers of the teams that will go into the drum. Here they are. Number 1 is Wrexham. Number 2, the Leicester City or Chelsea replay. 3 is Wimbledon. 4, Chesterfield. 5, Sheffield Wednesday. 6, Middlesbrough. 7, Portsmouth. And 8, the Derby County Coventry City match. Well, here to conduct the draw for us, once again, is the Chief Executive of the FA, Mr. Graham Kelly.
Thank you very much indeed. It promises to be a wonderful draw. Peter will draw the home teams, Gordon will draw the away teams. So, Gordon, if you'd like to put the balls in the drum, please.
Right.
Don't drop them, Gordon.
Oh, Peter. How many times have I heard that song? How many times?
Not many times in the last 20 years.
So, here we go, give him a twirl round. There you go, Peter. Pick the first one.
Number 5.
Number 5 is Sheffield Wednesday.
Number 3.
We'll play Wimbledon.
Well done, Gordon.
Number 7.
Number 7 is Portsmouth.
Number 2.
We'll play Leicester City or Chelsea.
Number 8.
Derby County or Coventry City.
Number 6.
We'll play Middlesbrough.
And number 4.
Number 4, Chesterfield.
A home draw for them. Number 1.
We'll play number 1, Wrexham.
Whoa.
And that concludes the draw for the 6th round of the FA Cup, sponsored by Littlewoods. The ties will be played on the 8th and the 9th of March.
Well, we're going to have a second division side in the semi-final, that's for sure. Chesterfield playing Wrexham in the 6th round. Wednesday against Wimbledon. What a tough one that is. Portsmouth against the winners of the Leicester-Chelsea replay. And Derby or Coventry against Middlesbrough.
Brummies battered by the Welsh Wizards. Are they on the road to Wembley? Well, we've really saved the best till last. It's well done to Wrexham. The boyos themselves are through to the quarterfinals. Well, whether it was a wind-up or a way of winding up his own players, Brian Flynn's pre-match declaration that Wrexham didn't stand a chance of winning the FA Cup looked a bit flimsy, even though Steve Bruce put Birmingham in front. Brian Hughes equalised from Peter Ward's first-class delivery, the type of free kick which leaves streetwise defenders like Bruce and Ablett looking quizzically at each other. Now, Jim, the turning point, according to Trevor Francis, that is, Paul Devlin's sending off. It was a bad decision that cost us the match. That was the gist of what Francis said.
Well, it might have cost them the match, but I thought it was a great decision from the referee. The picture speaks for itself. Chalk is lucky he didn't have his leg broken. Good, strong refereeing from Martin Boddenham.
Thanks, Jim. Well, as for the outcome itself, luck didn't come into it. Wrexham won on merit. Tony Humes perfected the jackknife technique to leave Bruce and co flat-footed. In fairness, Birmingham had no option but to chase the game and left themselves vulnerable at the back. Wrexham should have had it tied up well before Carl Connolly powered through in the 90th minute. For a scoreline which flattered the home side, they were outclassed, but that's been the story of this season's FA Cup. Well, it's all been said and written. Terrific performance. What are you going to add, Jim?
Well, I had a couple of pints with Gary Ablett, who, of course, was on the receiving end on Saturday. I was out with him on Saturday, and he just couldn't believe the way they just kept pouring forward. I mean, I think he expected once they went 2-1 up that they might sit back and try and protect it and hang on. But they just kept going forward with a numerical advantage, kept stretching Birmingham, and got that third goal and won it very comfortably.
Do you think they'll be pleased with the draw away to Chesterfield, which guarantees a second division team in the
Delighted
the semis?
with that. I mean, it's always nice for the sides in the second division to get big teams, but this gives them a real chance of making it to the semi-finals, and what an experience that will be. And I tell you what, I wouldn't bet against them. I mean, how many times they've gone a goal down 8 times in the competition and fought back?
Well, football now, and the dream lives on. Wrexham and the FA Cup, that is. On Saturday, Birmingham City went the same way as West Ham and Peterborough as they were dispatched into FA Cup oblivion. Now, just 2 games stand between Wrexham and Wembley, with the odds against them winning the Cup already slashed from 1,500 to 1 at the start of the season to just 16 to 1 today.
Into the hat for the last 8 of the FA Cup. Would it be the surviving big guns of Wimbledon or Chelsea?
Number 4, Chesterfield.
A home draw for them. Number 1.
We'll play number 1, Wrexham.
No, Chesterfield, 1 point and 1 place ahead of Wrexham in the second division. Suddenly Wembley seemed that little bit closer. Overcoming Birmingham had been Saturday's challenge. The Blues went ahead just before the interval, and Wrexham had to play catch-up for the 8th time in the tournament. But catch-up they did. Brian Hughes equalised. Club captain Tony Humes put the Robins ahead 10 minutes later, leaving Carl Connolly to put the game beyond doubt seconds from full time.
You look at the sides that are left in and you think, well, there's a chance that you're going to get one of the big boys, which from the club's point of view, revenue-wise, would probably be better. But from our point of view, I mean, to play Chesterfield and have a really good chance of getting in the semi-finals, it's I don't know, it's just beyond our wildest dreams, really.
Somebody's going to make history. You know, Chesterfield have never been to the quarter-final. We've been to the quarter-final, but either of us have never been to the semi-final. So it's a chance to make history.
2 games from the final, and Wrexham is beginning to capitalise off the pitch as well as on. Sales of club merchandise is up 6-fold. So far, the FA Cup has been worth around £250,000 to the club. Meeting the monthly bills has got that little bit easier.
It obviously takes a great weight off my mind. It creates a great deal of interest in the club. Things like the club shop go much better, the away travel goes much better. It makes the whole running of the place that much easier.
But for the fans, it's success, not money, that matters, and they want more of it.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic.
So where'd they go from here?
Hopefully to the final.
Then go to Wembley. Really? Hope they get Chelsea in the final. That'd be perfect final for me.
The racecourse at Wrexham, a long way from Wembley's Twin Towers. No Welsh clubs made it all the way since 1927.
Rotherham Wrexham and Wycombe Watford both ended 0-0, so Wycombe remain a point behind Peterborough, beaten again. Bristol Rovers are 4 points clear of York City. Brentford and Luton both look good for automatic promotion. They both won again. Bristol City beat Crewe, who dropped down to 5th. Below Bury, winners over Notts County.
A goalless draw at Gig Lane was enough to lift Bury into 3rd place. Stan Ternant's side are still unbeaten at home in the league, but some frantic defending by Wrexham's cup heroes could have taken all 3 points.
Wrexham must have been walking under ladders since qualifying for the FA Cup's 6th round. Their goalless draw with Burnley was their 3rd in a week, and their luck summed up by Lee Jones' late abortive effort.
Now in England, the Littlewood-sponsored FA Cup has also reached the quarter-final stage. In its 116-year history, the Cup has never had such an unlikely-looking last 8. There are several fascinating ties, though, and none more so than the battle of the 2nd Division giant killers. Chesterfield, conquerors of Forest in the last round, play Wrexham, who've left Wales to defeat West Ham, Peterborough and Birmingham. Well, to find out more about Wrexham, we sent Gary Richardson, or at least I think it's Gary Richardson.
Our journey eventually led us to a remote Welsh hillside. We wondered if humans had ever walked here. Then we saw them. A rare species, shy at first. Our cameras had found Wrexham footballers.
Wrexham have been preparing for their big day all week. The players and management are as nice a bunch as you could wish to meet.
It's a nice day. Hi, Gary.
Brian, hello, how are you?
I'm all right for you.
Yeah, great.
Time you arrived?
About 20 minutes ago.
Is it?
Cup success is nothing new to Wrexham, who will ever forget their remarkable win against Arsenal. And big names have tumbled again. In the last round, it was Birmingham. The town's gripped by cup fever and the possibility that Wrexham could make the semi-finals for the first time.
It's electric. People are enjoying themselves at the moment, and it's nice to be part of, you know, something that could create history.
There's a great buzz around the place. People sort of queued up overnight for tickets for the Chesterfield game, which is sort of unheard of at Wrexham. Campfires in the car park and what have you. So there's a great buzz around everywhere.
Andy! Save Andy! Cameras must be on.
The backroom staff know a thing or two about the FA Cup. Kevin Reid scored in the final for Manchester City against Spurs.
A chance perhaps for Jones.
And Joey Jones played for Liverpool against Manchester United.
I've got good staff. You know, when your first question, did I ever want to be a manager? I did, but it was so important that I brought Joey in and Kevin in as my assistant, and Cliff was here. It's so important you have good people around you to help you, and that's what I've got.
Great strike, Chalky.
See this fella here? Hey, just get a picture of this. This fella can spin legs, 65. But yeah? Done him. Done him this morning. You don't tangle with the Vatican Spain. The Vatican Spain done him.
It's a nice club there, the boss and Kev and Joey. They're all friendly, they all look after the lads, and we seem to be working well this year. In the league, we're doing quite well, but we seem to be drawing a lot of games. And in the cup, it just seems to be gelling. We seem to be like rising to the occasion, especially in the big games.
And Brian Hughes has risen to the occasion throughout the cup run, scoring 6 goals in the competition. A product of the youth scheme, he's a valuable asset. But how long will Wrexham be able to keep him at the club? Does it annoy you at all, though, that you find sort of somebody that you think is a nugget and he changes into a diamond and then you have to flog him off? I mean, that would cheese me off.
Yeah, but that's part and parcel of football, really, isn't it? I mean, if we can help players progress, they are ambitious. Hopefully they can come and get better with ourselves, and if we can get promoted, you know, all well and good. But, I mean, if they use us as a stepping stone, it'd be great. We're proud for, like, Chris Armstrong started with us and he's doing so well now. We never thought he would turn into a multi-million-pound player, but it makes us proud that, you know, he started with us.
Bennett! Bennett's there! Gary Bennett! The return of Gary Bennett 10 days ago is a boost. Mind you, he could have been lining up for the opposition.
On the Monday, the Preston manager pulled me into his office and he said Chesterfield and Wrexham were interested in signing you. And there was no way I could possibly have lined up against Wrexham in the quarter-final of the FA Cup, so the Chesterfield move was totally out. But the other thing was to line up against Chesterfield for Wrexham, and that was definitely the thing I wanted. And lucky enough, it come off.
On a big day like this, the most important thing is collectively how they do well. I don't think you can pick out one individual. Yes, it might turn out that somebody might produce something magical to win the game. And you would obviously look at certain individuals for that, such as Gary Bennett, such as Brian Hughes. It might be a save from Andy Marriott. You know, incidents like that can change the course of a game. But it's the collective unit and who will play well on the day, and I think that's going to be the most important thing.
It's a team effort through and through, not only on the pitch, but off it as well. Gladys the Cat's been at the club for 10 years, Madge for 30, and Sue 18 years.
We want to go, and yet it's going to be very nerve-wracking. That's the only trouble. You can feel it now, can't you? At least I think if we stay behind and watch it on television, you can run out if it gets a bit...
Because Birmingham was once in the last quarter of an hour, you're feeling sick. It was awful.
So everybody's excited, everybody wants to be a part of it. And the supporters have been absolutely brilliant in the cup games that we've had so far. Yeah, it's just a shame that we can't get more tickets, you know. But that's the way it goes. I'm sure the ones that aren't there, they'll be with us in spirit and they'll be watching it on the Welsh TV.
Well, as for Chesterfield, they're enjoying their cup run so much they've made a record. Most teams usually wait for the cup final before they cut a single, but for the second division outfit, the 6th round will do. Unless, of course, they know something we don't.
With a new direction, but if we falter or we fall, we'll still get up. When the writing's on the wall, we'll look back and recall.
I wonder if the one with the high-pitched voice was one of the players. Laurie, 2 second division clubs in the quarter-finals. This is what the FA Cup can do. That's the magic, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it brings up one of these teams who've got the chance of playing in the semi-final, probably against the Premiership side. I mean, it's a tremendous achievement for them both to get this far. But, yeah, it's mouth-watering for both teams.
Yeah, it's great that one gets to the semi-final, but at the same time, it's a shame they've drawn each other at this stage, isn't it?
I don't know. I think both managers are reasonably pleased that they had a chance of competing with someone at their own level. I mean, as I say, both managers will think, yeah, we've got a good chance of winning this. I mean, if they'd played a Premiership club, they'd have thought, well, you know, this is goodbye for this year. So, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time.
Difficult one to forecast, though.
With a record like that, uninspiring record like that, I would think Wrexham would probably win that one.
Yeah, probably the kiss of death.
Yeah.
Well, now the all-second division affair, which kicked off 11:30 this morning. Chesterfield against Wrexham, and Ian Gwynn Hughes saw this one.
Peter Ward. Hughes has taken up a good position. Lovely ball. Brian Hughes. Yes. No, it's off the line. Mark Williams with the clearance. And Billy Mercer under pressure. Marriott will come. He's under pressure. Morris just wouldn't drop. Tony Hughes. Well, I think there's a strong case for handball there. Away by Perkins. Morris just hooking the ball on. Deryn Brace asking Marriott to come for it. He hasn't. And it's in by Chris Beaumont. Deryn Brace was looking to Andy Marriott. Marriott waited. And Chris Beaumont got the touch. And 12 minutes into the second half, we've had the breakthrough. Dyche to the better of Steve Watkin. Beaumont, he scored once! An opportunity, great save for Marriott. Well, a let-up for Wrexham. Now then, Wrexham are in danger here. Grace comes across. Lucky rebound though for Jonathan Howard. He could make it two. Howard, great save by Andy Marriott. Wrexham pressure without really creating anything. Chesterfield holding on to the lead. Gareth Owen. Owen, good shot, deflection. That's the luck of the FA Cup. And that's the last action. Chesterfield of the second division make it to the semi-final of the FA Cup. Wrexham of the second division just sit back and think of what could have been.
Luton Town are without a win in their last 4 games, but they stay in second place. Steve Davis gave Luton the lead midway through the first half against Wrexham, but they held it for less than 60 seconds before Marvin Johnson pushed Martin Chalk in the penalty area. And Gary Bennett, back at Wrexham after spells with Tranmere and Preston, equalised from the spot. 11 minutes into the second half, Bennett got his second of the night, striking the ball beyond Ian Foyer in the Luton goal. So Luton still in the automatic promotion position. Wrexham just 3 points off the playoff places with games in hand. Last night, more than 2,000 fans had to be moved onto the pitch when fire broke out in the Town End Terrace after 25 minutes, with the two sides level at 1 apiece. Firemen put out the flames and play was allowed to resume a few minutes later. On the hour, Lee Ashcroft scored the decisive goal to move Preston up to 15th place in Division 2.
More trouble for Plymouth's Bruce Grobbelaar at home park. The keeper in no man's land from the corner, and big Tony Humes headed Wrexham's winner.
Brentford have been season-long favourites for promotion from Division 2. They've barely been off top spot until a run of only 2 points from 15 and 3 straight defeats prior to the game with Wrexham. Playoff contenders for several seasons, Wrexham have never quite made them, but manager Brian Flynn is more confident with his current side.
At the start of this season, I said my only quote was, if we defend better, we've got a better chance, and we've kept 17 clean sheets, which is impressive by any standards, and we're as good as anybody in the division. Unfortunately, this year we haven't scored as many. We were free scoring and have been free scoring in the last 2 or 3 years in this division, but it hasn't been that way this year.
Wrexham, in fact, had failed to score in 5 of their previous 8 games, whilst Brentford were off the back of 4 consecutive blanks. But both are in a top 9, separated by only 6 points. It's far from the proverbial 2-horse race, says Brentford manager David Webb.
It's like the Grand National, and everyone's in it. There's a load of hurdles to go. Let's hope we can pick plenty of 3 points up between now and the end of the season.
But this is one of the teams that is challenging with you.
Absolutely, you know, it's the same. We're in a period at the moment where we've played Burnley, we've played Luton, we played Wrexham tonight, we played Bury Saturday. We're in amongst playing all the teams around us. It doesn't make any difference whether you're around us or the teams near the bottom. You know, you've still got to try and win the 3 points. And that really gets to this stage in the season where, you know, you just go out for it. You just got to go for the attack and just hope you can get the 3 points.
In the opening quarter of an hour, it was the home side who were going for it. Wrexham, though, couldn't force a breakthrough. And Brentford gradually took control of the game. They eventually got their noses in front after 29 minutes. Carl Asaba back to form after a virus and restored to his favourite striker's role, scoring Brentford's first goal in 6 hours and 33 minutes of football. They had to wait just 15 minutes for the next one. Wrexham's Wayne Phillips handling the ball, and Asaba comfortably scoring his second of the game, his 22nd of the season, to put Brentford firmly in charge. In the second half, they had to defend the lead. Wrexham had most of the possession, but never really looked like gaining something for their promotion push, as Brentford got their challenge back on track with a 2-0 victory.
Plenty of Good Friday fun at Wrexham, where the home side were well on course for 3 points. Wayne Phillips netting the best of their 3 goals against Millwall. Lucas Neal's dismissal didn't prevent a brave comeback, though, by John Docherty's side, climaxed with the award of a penalty here for Brian Carey's handball. More of Mr. Carey later. Anton Rogan took advantage from the penalty spot. Besides Bury, Bristol Rovers were the only other team in the division to claim a maximum 6 points in 48 hours, Justin Skinner with an early strike against Wrexham. Brian Carey was then sent off, compounding his miserable Easter. Remember, he conceded a penalty against Millwall, and Rovers took advantage of the extra man for Peter Beadle to finish the job for the second match running.
Division 2 has opened up again. 2 wins over Easter have put Bury 3 points clear at the top, but now 10 points clear of Burnley in 7th place. Stockport are 4th, but they still have 10 games left to play. Notts County and Rotherham are virtually down. Peterborough are 6 points from safety with just 6 games left. And wins for Bristol Rovers and Shrewsbury have made it tougher for Wycombe.
Wrexham had to replace the goalpost before kick-off after vandals had pulled the original ones down. New woodwork brought a change in fortunes for Walsall, who'd won only 1 of their previous 6 games. Carl Lightbourne fired them ahead with his 21st of the season. And the Saddlers clinched the points 15 minutes from time. Great work by Wayne Evans, and in the end an easy header for Andy Watson. Wrexham did pull one back from the spot after the referee spotted Evans pulling Carl Connolly's shirt. Walsall keeper James Walker had saved a penalty in the first half, but Connolly gave him no chance with that one.
Wrexham boosted their playoff hopes and sent Rotherham crashing into the 3rd division, all down to a 48th-minute header from Carl Connolly. The fans remain unimpressed, though. It was Wrexham's lowest league gate of the season, just 2002 to witness the victory.
Shrewsbury Town have slumped into the bottom 4 almost unnoticed. A midfield contretemps wasn't on Fred Davis's agenda. It saw their captain, Dean Spink, red-carded. The game was only 12 minutes old. Shrewsbury looked to have dented Wrexham's playoff bid until the very last minute when Gary Bennett touched the ball past Paul Edwards. You can forgive him the celebration. Just.
Means Bury's lead is down to 1 point. Stockport goes second above Brentford, who won on Friday. Luton dropped to 4th after their defeat on Saturday at Walsall. Notts County and Rotherham have been relegated, there's confirmation, but who joins them isn't clear. Peterborough won, so did Wycombe, who move out of the bottom 4. Shrewsbury Town drop in.
Controversy aplenty at the racecourse ground. Wrexham in front, courtesy of a hotly disputed penalty. The evidence, though, suggests Kevin Miller's challenge was anything but fair. Carl Connolly helped himself from the spot, and 5 minutes later, Watford's cause was lost. Kevin Phillips with a 2-footed lunge at Dave Brammer, a tackle that wasn't well received by his teammates. When it all calmed down, ref Fraser Stretton showed Phillips the red card. And before Watford could reorganise, they were 2 down. They could and should have cleared their lines, but when the ball came back in, some woeful marking allowed Connolly to score again. To Watford's credit, they did pull one back on the stroke of half-time, Craig Ramage providing a glimmer of hope. But the 10 men were run off their feet after the break, and a rare error from Miller allowed Craig Skinner to seal Wrexham's win. Both teams still have a sniff of the playoffs.
Crewe are still in with a shout of finishing in the top 2, but a playoff spot now looks more likely after this result. They went ahead in the second half through 18-year-old Seth Johnson with his first ever goal for the club. But Wrexham were level just 15 minutes later. Mark McGregor on target to claim a point which could yet prove vital for Wrexham as they too chase a place in the First Division.
Blackpool meet Wrexham next week, and the Welshmen's playoff chances disappeared with their first defeat in 7 visits to Dean Court. John O'Neill's finish to David Town's cross put Bournemouth ahead. Matthew Holland clinched the Cherries' first win in 5 midway through the second half. Carl Connolly did well to climb highest for Wrexham's consolation, but an eventful season is set to end empty-handed.
Wrexham and Blackpool, the clubs who missed the playoffs most narrowly, met at the racecourse ground, and it was the Welshman who led after just 5 minutes. Carl Connolly's cross perfectly angled for Steve Watkin. Within 10 minutes, Gary Megson's side were level. Straight from the boot of keeper Steve Banks by the head of Andy Priest, Tony Ellis got in to lob his 19th goal of another productive season. Ellis was later sent off for fighting along with Wrexham's Tony Humes, but not before Humes had made himself a hero by getting in first to pounce on Banks' save from Peter Ward.
The relegation places were settled last week, but Peterborough ended with a win at Brentford. Rotherham did the same, winning at Bristol Rovers. Bury are champions. They finished 2 points ahead of Stockport, and they were the only team in the top 6 to finish with a victory. Luton will go to Crewe in the first leg of the playoffs. Brentford go to Bristol City.